So I was with this girl. We were in a long-term relationship. And at the beginning of the relationship, things were actually pretty good. And then after a while, I started getting more ED. All of a sudden my flagpole wasn't rising anymore. And what's weird is that sex became this really stressful event. Like it was like, like when you take a really heavy test, it was like that. Like during the whole day, our relationship was good. I was happy. Things were chill. And then when we have sex, I'm like super anxious and like stressed out, which doesn't make any sense. You see, a lot of people would go and say, oh, that's performance anxiety. But I didn't have performance anxiety. I was fine. There was a time period where everything was great. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting super stressed out with somebody who I'm very comfortable with and has a good relationship with. And that doesn't really make sense. And so that's the whole thing that's wrong with our understanding of how ED works. It's not that my body broke. It's that something was going on behind the scenes. So hello, I'm with Primal, Hare, and I have been struggling with ED for over a decade, and I was able to fix my problems naturally without pills or supplements through a process that nobody's ever done before, and I'm here to share everything I learned for free. So what happened is that you gotta understand that your whole body is this muscular framework. Your body is trainable, and that can work for you and against you. So your body optimizes for what you repeat. And I know we repeated these solo sessions quite a bit. I mean, we've invested quite a bit of time doing what we do. I mean, some of you guys got like terabytes of content. I don't even know how you get that level, but like this stuff, we have put in a lot of time investing in this process. And so over the years, our body has built a really highly specific template. Position, grip, everything. I'm gonna tell you something that I don't tell. Like, I used to do like this squat. Like, I'd be squatting down to get maximum pleasure from this whole thing. And so your body starts to get really efficient at this template. And the problem is that this template has nothing to do with real sex. So if a lot of times you're engaging your solo sessions while sitting in a desk on a table, on your laptop or whatever, or on the toilet, I don't know when you do your thing, but that position, your body starts to optimize to that position. And so that's why, I don't know if you read a lot of the performance, but a lot of people say like, hey, how come when I stand up, I lose my erection? It's because your body is so optimized to that other position you were doing. And so your body is tuned to that. So the whole thing you have to understand about muscle fibers is that there's an on and off nature to it. It's either on or off. All your muscles are just tiny fibers that are basically on or off. And sometimes usually normally they fire, then they recover, they take a break, back to off. But when you overuse it, the fibers get stuck on and they're chronically contracted and they never release, they never rest. So this is not like the big muscles, so that's why it's not something you can feel. These are hundreds of tiny ones deep in the tissue. And so if you want to think about it, it's like a rope made of 1,000 threads, and there's a lot of tiny knots inside of it. So you may be asking, okay, what does this have to do with ED? So erections are an expansion event. You expand. And I think you probably don't even remember this anymore because it's been so long. But back when you were younger, your erections would expand. But now you have to contract. And it's because we've basically inverted the whole process. And usually when you're expanding, this allows blood to flow in. And for blood to flow in, muscles need to relax. But when your body is full of fibers that are trained to clench during arousal, then when you get turned on, these old patterns start firing, and then they start to work against the erection. So basically you're trying to open the door while all your own muscles are pulling it shut. And that's the big problem that we have. That's why these things like, so I'll tell you another thing too, is that I would often use fapping as a way to escape, like from stress or from doing my work, just something to spin off. And when you would use, like if I'm stressed and then I start to solo session and you keep doing this over and over again, your body starts to bind these two scenarios. And so then what happens is that it's not just a one-way street. It's not just stressed, then I start to, feel horny and want to, fap. It also goes the other way. So now when I'm engaged in sex, then it starts to cause me stress because you basically create a bridge between these two, I don't even have a word for it, but these two scenarios. And so that's why your body starts to work against you during sex and why we start to get elevated stress. I mean, think about it. Most of us do that. We use, porn as a way to escape. And so what happens is that you overuse it, you start to bind these scenarios, and then soon enough, the things that you start to, fap with starts to become your biggest failure points. And so then you start to get exhausted because so many muscle fibers are firing underneath, and it all starts becoming an insecurity, and then you're overtrained, you're all these things. Like the whole thing is, all these things start to pull against you in your body. Is this also because you're nervous and fear because of past failures? Absolutely. But there's also an underlying mechanical problem that's happening inside your body that's causing your body to work against you during sex. And so that's why the whole thing is you have to find a way to disengage these muscles, to rest them. And that's why I have those videos that talk about the two skills you need is meditation and to be able to control and harness your sex drive, because these are going to be key skill sets you'll need in order to disable these muscle fibers that are stuck in the on position. So the next video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about exactly where this lives in your body and how we can find it. So if this is something that you feel is something that is affecting you on a daily basis, you feel that, I'm struggling with ED, you can take the test to see if this is really something for you. You can go to primalhare.com, sign up and get updates from whenever we do updates with our videos or content, and see if this is something that can help you out.